Dave, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate it. I know it's been a few months since we've done one of these, but wanted to have a kind of quick catch up on the pitch, off the pitch, and just get a few updates and a few bits. Let's start on the pitch. Really good run of results recently. We obviously went through those kind of 3 defeats, but have really managed to turn that around.
Yeah, that's it. Turned it around. Up until those 3 defeats, I think we'd been fairly consistent. I think it was 1 defeat all season prior to that one at Dunfermline. And it was tough. It came at a time in the season where you're trying to kick on off over Christmas and New Year. I don't think we're a million miles away in all 3 games. The results were poor. I don't think we were out the games. Wraith, we conceded a couple of early goals. We got back in it. The United game, I thought, were actually the better team for large parts. They take their goal well for a kind of bit of us switching off a little bit. And then Queen's Park was probably the most disappointing, but then we have a penalty miss. And again, I don't think we were under lots of pressure. That's it, yeah. It was 3 defeats in a row. It's not what you're after, but I don't think there was like alarm bells, if that makes sense. It wasn't 3 really poor 3 poor performances, just the results that were poor. I think it maybe gave everybody a chance inside the building to have a bit of a reset. So it had been relatively good up until that point. I think it had been brilliant, but I think everybody was happy with, I say happy. We could have been doing better, but up until that point, we're okay. We're right up there in the mix. And you maybe sometimes when you're winning games or things are going well, you don't take that chance to look at still what you can do better again. Now that's across all levels of the football club. And we maybe just got to that point where we were getting results sometimes maybe that we didn't deserve, but we were getting away with it. But in that turn after those 3 games, there was probably a chance for a bit of a reset. And I remember saying to you guys and anybody who would listen, that the 5 games after that, starting with Airdrie at home, we had a chance to start to shape the season. Airdrie here wasn't a gimme, but I think it was a must win. They were bottom of the league at the time. We were coming off that bad run of form. Pressure was all on us. They were sitting on, I think, 6 points at the time. We had to win that game to make sure that we turned it around, because I think at that point, if we hadn't won that night, we start probably heaping more pressure on ourselves, and you're worrying where's that win going to come. So we done it. We picked up that win. We then had a pressure-free trip to Dingwall, if you like. There's no free hits. I hate that. I don't think you go into any game going, listen, but it's fine, it's a free hit. You want to try and win every game of football. And we went up there knowing pressure was on them, which was nice, because every time we've been in Dingwall over the last 6 years, it's been high pressure, because it's normally us and them in amongst that bottom 3, and you have to not lose, because if you lose, then you're really up against it in the relegation battle. So it was nice kind of going there thinking, if we don't win the game, no one's going, that's a bit of a shock, like Livingston got beat, that's a nightmare. No one would have really cared too much in terms of the outside looking in.
There's quite a lot of the boys here from our last trip up there as well, obviously, which we kind of got sucker punched late on.
That's it. There's the boys that were here, and then you look at the recruitment from there. It's boys that have played in the Premiership, and Ryan McGowan, Stevie Mates, but we've recruited players who'd been there and done it. They knew the trip, they knew what they were up against. And we're going up to Ross County, a great home team. Really consistent up there, tough place to go. Loads of teams have struggled. We've seen, I think, the week before, took Celtic to quite late in the game. They got over the line, but it took them a while to get there. So a chance to go up there and kind of express yourself a bit and go and play, none to lose, no fear, go and give them a game. And I think had we not got that winner, or had we lost the game on penalties, it would have been a travesty, because I think over the 90 minutes or over the 120 minutes, I think we're the better team, and we deserve to come away with a win. So we got what we deserved, but to do it in that manner, I think that's the trip for fans. That's it. That's the trip you're looking forward to in your Premiership. So when the tide came out of the hat, I think we all spoke about not being great for the club in terms of the trip, the cost involved. But for the fans, that's irrelevant. They've got a trip. They're up there, up to the Mallard. I'm sure a few beers on the bus there and back, and to get that moment, when Meshach's ball, Andy tees up, and then it felt like an eternity for Shin to get his leg up and just hit the back of the net.
I think it was almost amazement that he was in so much space.
That's it. And he'd been put on to go and do a job, and all the 3 of them had, and we got that win, and it was great for us in the director's box, for you guys covering the game, and for the fans to get that moment of just going wild. We've had a couple of times now up at Ross County. I think that's Tom Park's now lost his status as the hero of Dingwall. It's now Shinny's new position. So it was brilliant. Then you just start to feel that gives you a wee bit of okay, we weren't expected to win that one. Hamilton at home, and you've got to go and just capitalise. You've got to make sure that you keep that momentum going. Now we've dusted those 3 wins away, 3 defeats to the side, a couple of great wins, really brilliant, really good against Hamilton. Though we get up 2 goals up nice and early, see the game out, and then takes you to Falkirk where there was no real, not much chat needed in terms of how big that was. And we went there and I think we were, to a man, absolutely fantastic. There's more than one way to win a football game. You can try and play fancy free-flowing football for 90 minutes every single week, and that's great if that's your prerogative and that's your way of doing things. We went there and we got the goals, we got ourselves in position to hang on to a lead. That's the crucial thing. You can sit in and try and frustrate and go away with a draw, but when you're 2 goals up, you've got 3 points there, they're yours, so go and not lose them. That's your second half task. Don't lose those 3 points, and I think the boys were brilliant. Fully deserving in my mind of those 3 points, which then just opens it back up again. That puts you right back in the mix. You're kind of riding that wave of the cup success, a couple of wins in the league, and then Dunfermline. That was the 5th game in that we run that tranche of games that we spoke about. Chance to get to a cup final for the first time in 4 or 5 years for the Betfred Cup, and 10 years for the last time we were in the Challenge Cup final. Tough game. We'd been there midweek. We'd seen the film before. I think we all went with a wee bit of trepidation of that previous trip, and it's not been a happy hunting ground for years for Livingston. Historically, East End Park's not a great place for us, so we went there. Tough conditions. I'll not sit and have a go at anybody's park. It's both teams playing it wherever you're playing, whatever the surface is. We both had to plug away and see what we could do. We got the goal for the set piece, and the longer it went on and it looked like it was going to finish 1-0 with a set piece, I thought that was the only way somebody was going to win a game, was a ball into the box. Then Tetty and Smithy and Clarkey, to be fair, link up brilliantly to get that second goal and book a place in the final, which again the travelling support get that moment, again last minute, sealing it, it's game over, which was great, which tied us then into a 6th game, which we hadn't thought at the time, Cove and now a Scottish Cup quarter final. So yeah, on the park it's 6 brilliant wins, which at the time in the season of came are tremendous and really important in shaping now for me this next 11-12 weeks.
Let's go into them then. Kind of cup final, we had that run, say kind of Dunfermline away in the semi, Morton at home, Inverness at home, Spartans away. It was probably nice to get one back over Spartans, to be fair, after they put us out the League Cup. Quarter-finals of the Scottish as well, as you said, County away, Cove at home, so a lot of challenging ties in there. It's not kind of been a given almost. What does that kind of mean for the club though, overall?
It's brilliant for the club. It's brilliant for everybody, fans, staff, players, everybody involved. That's why you're in the game, really. Like it's last season was difficult. It was a long, hard testing season, and this has been just as hard and just as testing. But we're getting the results. We're getting the just rewards, if you like, that we sometimes didn't get last year. So for any team to reach a cup final, a quarter final, and be sitting within touching distance of the top of the league has got to be seen as positive just now. We've had a good season so far, and there's a real opportunity to make it a great season. It'll take a lot of hard work. The cup runs have been good. Like you say, the draws haven't all just been favourable. We've went away to Ross County, a team in the league above us, with a decent home record, and won the tie. A few, again, like you say, tricky ties in the Challenge Cup. Spartans, we had that one, kind of got the monkey off the back by going there and beating them at their place. Inverness was difficult on the basis that they had that news or that impending news coming in administration, so there was a thought that the game here was going to be the last one before administration, which then puts a wee bit on the players that they don't know on Monday morning if they've got a job anymore. They don't know if they're going to be with their teammates. I think that showed. They dug deep and they done well. They took it all the way to penalties, and Marcello in the end was the hero for us, if you like. So it's been difficult. You've got to, it doesn't matter who you're playing against, and Morton as well, and our team in our league. So it's been really positive to see us to do so well in the cups. And Davies touched on before, Scottish Cup's not been great for Livingston over recent years, or over the club's history, in fairness. But it's great to now be still in there in that final 8 when you're not even in the top 12 in the country in terms of league position, so to still be in the final 8 and national competition in the cup final of the kind of best of the rest, if you like, is tremendous, and testament to Davey, the coaching staff, and every single one of the players involved across all this season so far.
Let's touch on the draw. It was obviously kind of made Monday evening. St Johnstone at home. Maybe one of the ones that you maybe would have kind of looked for, just based on kind of league position. Maybe Queen's Park, obviously in our league, or probably Celtic away would have been those sort of 3. But got to be happy with St Johnstone at home. It gives a chance.
Yeah, can we talk about the draw though? How cup draws at 11 o'clock on a Monday night? Like, of course there was going to be 8 minutes added on. Of course there was going to be extra time and penalties. And
I think if you look at the FA Cup draw, they made theirs before their Monday night fixture.
I think they've done it on BBC, didn't they? But I think 11 o'clock at night for a cup draw. Everyone said we're all excited. We're all for Livingston to be in a quarter final. You just want to know who you've got and sit and watching extra time and penalties for Hearts and Mirren that I probably wouldn't ever care to watch. But there we are. So we can maybe look at. Fingers crossed we can be in the semi-final draw and it'll be a little bit earlier. But yeah, at this stage, I don't want to use old cliches, but there's never going to be an easy tie. Everybody's in there because they've earned their place in that last 8. Of course, when you're looking across who was left, a unbelievable result for Queen's Park on Sunday. That'll go down in the history books, not just for them, probably for Scottish football. Going to somewhere like Ibrox and being so resilient and getting that result. I've got a feeling they might have been hoping for us, and we were probably hoping for them in terms of both of us having a crack as a championship team in the semi-final. Of course, likewise, I think St Johnstone probably aren't too miffed against Livingston. When you look at who's in the hat, I seen something last night. I think St Johnstone have drawn one of the Old Firm in 16, 17 of the last 22 years in the Scottish Cup. So they were probably just waiting for Celtic to come out the hat. So I think they'll be looking at like a championship team in the last 8 of the Scottish Cup. They'll probably be relatively pleased, but they probably preferred at home. So I think coming here, they've got a relatively new squad. A lot of players who wouldn't have came to Livingston before, who wouldn't have played on the Astro here, and we've got a core there of Premiership players. Added with recruits this year that I think have kicked us on again. So what a tie it is though, and I think of course there was the chat if we can get Celtic or Rangers had they qualified, and you get that payday, going to Celtic Park or Ibrox. But that feeling that's when this cup game comes, that we'll all arrive here thinking we could win this game. Like I think when you go to Celtic Park, you're hanging on for 0-0. You're seeing how long you can stay there, and as soon as they score, you probably think, right, here we go, it's done. I think that afternoon both sets of fans will come saying like. I think all Livy fans will be thinking we can win this, and St Johnstone fans will be in the same thing. So I think it'll be a really good cup tie. Massive for both clubs to reach the semi-final stage in a trip to Hampden. But for us, yeah, just looking forward to it now. It probably can't come quick enough the form we're in. But yeah, looking forward to welcoming Gus and Roddy and the rest of the guys for St Johnstone here and putting on a good tie and hopefully taking our place in the 11 o'clock draw on the Monday night. So.
Talking to semi-finals, let's just a quick word on our 18s. Got into the Scottish Cup semi-final. Thoughts towards it?
Brilliant. I watched the game. Came down and watched the quarter-final. Boys were really good. Really good. Maybe deserved to be more than a goal up at the point that they were. Red card made it a bit difficult, and then maybe a little bit fortune. Ross County lost a player injury, and they'd used all their subs, so it then made it back 10v10, which then helps. If you've gone that the last, I think it was maybe half an hour left when Danny was sent off. Players dug deep, helped him out. He's the captain of the team. He'll have been disappointed. I think he was hard done to. He had 2 tackles in the whole game. Booked for the 2 of them. I'm not sure either where, to be honest, but it is what it is. Went to penalties, and it was some incredible penalties, brilliant technique. But delighted for Joe on goals. He's made that save to get his team to the semi-final first time in a number of years. I think Neil Hastings was in the 18s team the last time we got there. It wasn't yesterday or the day before. So no, it's a brilliant achievement, and especially given the infancy, like if you like, of the academy, for us to be competing at that level and getting into the last 4 of a Scottish Cup. But yeah, it's brilliant. Great credit to Colin, his coaches, and all the players, because it's tough. They've got other commitments away from here, whether it's education, jobs, even family life. They're not just here all the time, and they dig deep on a Tuesday night, come here, and it was great to see. I know you guys had a stream set up, and the viewing figures were tremendous. There's a real interest there. Sadly, it looks like the semi-final is going to clash with our Partick Thistle game on the 28th of this month, which is really poor. And we tried to speak with SFA and Kilmarnock to change that, but we couldn't get a middle ground. It looks like it is going to clash, which is disappointing, because I think, I get it, Livingston fans will either be at the game at Partick or watching the game on the TV, so you probably lose a hell of a lot of interest that you would have had had it been on a different date. But fingers crossed, it'll be a really difficult trip going to Rugby Park and trying to reach the final. But no, they've got themselves there on merit, and fingers crossed going to do themselves justice and making a little bit of history for the club.
Let's go to the transfer window. A few out. Ollie Green kind of back down south, Andy Winter, Lonter Arbroath, Ben Jackson, Marcel Pitaluga, Jack Newman was kind of in and out pretty quickly as well. 4 in as well in terms of Meshack Ubochioma, Macaulay Tate, Robbie Fraser and Jack Hamilton. Happy with the business?
Absolutely, yeah. I think...
let's go with the outs first. Let's cover that first.
Yeah, listen, that's certainly the manager's remit. That's a big part of his job is the recruitment. He'll live by that and die by that in respect of who he brings in the building. He'll be the first to tell you. Sometimes you bring a player in, it just doesn't quite work. Other times you bring somebody in and it's a Scott Pittman. So that's just the nature of recruitment at Livingston. You're not going to get every single one perfect.
I think you said it before, there is risk with every player that comes in.
Of course it is. We don't have, and Davey doesn't have the resource in terms of personnel at the club to go and have a director of football or a full recruitment department who are sending him every single stat on a player. So you're almost at times you're having to base it on limited footage, albeit you're getting to see best bits. But that's what it is. It's best bits. So it's probably a lot easier to make a kind of compilation of all your best bits over 10 years. But they're put in, and Davey's got different maybe agents or clubs that he trusts and people he can speak to, and good relationships that we've built, as in they've been able to bring somebody like Robbie Fraser for Rangers or Macaulay Tate for Hearts, and that's built on those relationships, not necessarily scouting or agents or clips. That's based on what you've done over the years with other football clubs. So yeah, the guys out. Again, goes without saying, they all move on with absolute best wishes. You've got Andy Winter, who the club still have an option for another year. He's went and hit the ground running at Arbroath, a couple of goals. Probably just a wee bit unfortunate here that so for this season, I think he'd featured as a sub over 20 times. It was most games he was coming on, but for Andy's sake, he probably wants and needs to be playing football. And that goes for Ollie as well. Ollie, back down south and a chance to go and get yourself going again. A really, really genuinely great lad, and I don't think there'll be a person in the building with a bad word to say. And hopefully that works for him, a chance to go and reinvent himself a little bit and get back playing football, which at his age, that's absolutely fundamental. So yeah, that's kind of the nature of the game. That sadly you meet a lot of good people and they have to move on, and that's what happens. And likewise, you have to fill those voids and you have to try and improve the squad. I think that's what we've done. Macaulay's been an absolute gem since he's came in. He's been fantastic. The difference in the games that he's came in, it's Hamilton at home, Falkirk away, Dunfermline on a really tough surface, and then another big cup game. 4 games of all different kind of feels and natures, but he's went in and not looked out of place at all. He's looked like he's been playing first team football at top level for a long time. That looks well, much older than his years. Same with Robbie Fraser, straight in, player of the month, got a goal, a couple of assists. He's been a great addition, and they add a lot in the building. They're energetic, like youthfulness, like it's nice, and probably keep Shinnie and Gowser and the older guys on their toes. But they're great talent at the club. Meshack as well. He's come in. He's probably had to bide his time, given that the form of both Robbie Muirhead and Christian Montano on the wings. He's maybe come at a time where we're looking to try and freshen up or change things, and both Robbie and Chris have been brilliant over the last 4 or 5 weeks. So watched the reserve game today and he scored one of the best goals I've seen this season. Meshack coming in for the right hand side and a little chip and volley, and to have that on the bench as well and be able to freshen up, because it's been hard. It's been a tough run of games. So that's why you've got that squad. You've got your 20, 23, 25 players there that you'll go through those spells of injuries. Look, Stephen Kelly's been out injured for a good few weeks now. Someone who's probably one of the first names on the team sheet over the last prolonged time, not just this season, beyond. And we've managed to kind of work without him being there. Scott Pittman missed a few games, and with the recruitment of Macaulay Tate, it allows him to go in. You've got the flexibility of Jamie Brandon, who can shift positions. So recruitment's key for Livingston, but certainly having that squad depth of what we already had in the building is now starting to pay dividends. And Dave and I have both spoken a number of times this season about the belief of having one of the strongest squads, if not the strongest squad in the division. I think that's now going to start to play in our favour, being able to freshen things up with the players we have sitting on the bench or in the stands at times.
Fair. Going to move to off the pitch sort of stuff just now. Can I contradict myself here? We had a big win at Falkirk, but it was overshadowed almost. I think it was straight in our media chat throughout the game, and not the result didn't matter, but we had that kind of racism incident which affected Michael Nottingham. Can you give me a kind of club stance or club thought behind that, please?
Well, I think I speak for everybody, appalled by the comments at Michael, yet not surprised. I think we're miles and miles and miles away from getting on top of this in this country just now. If anything, is arguably going backwards at times. I think over the last 5 to 10 years, it looked like it had made progress, and I'm not so sure. We're still progressing at that same speed. There is a number of insults you could have thrown at Michael if you're a Falkirk fan or an opposing player. No, you can call him a number of names. There's a number of things you could have said that would have probably actually affected him more. Now, if you'd tweeted him telling him he's terrible at football, he's probably in his head going, "It's not very nice. Am I terrible?" Like, there are plenty of insults. By the way, not that makes it any better in terms of throwing insults online. But the point being is, how does that come into somebody's mind 30 minutes into a game? You're losing, that's fine, that's football, that's the emotion of it, but to then take to social media, you're not even at the game, and you're taking it to social media to then racially abuse a player for making a tackle that you don't like, doesn't sit comfortably with me, and it shouldn't sit comfortably with anybody.
Is social media a big part of that, do you think, in terms of, you said we kind of made a wee bit of progress, but it's almost gone backwards? I don't want to say it's easy, but you can log on a platform anonymously, non-anonymously, make a comment. I think I said this last time we spoke. I think social media's got a huge part to play in the way this is going backwards. Not just from a racial perspective, but from just a general abuse of people. It's not getting better, and I don't think it is going to get any better on social media. I genuinely think we're in for a spell over the next few years where it'll get worse. And I don't mean worse before it gets better. I think it's just going to get worse, and I worry at what point is it ever going to get better, or is it ever going to get better? It's social media has that big part to play. But no, we spoke to Michael. I spoke to him Saturday morning after the game. Spoke to him again in person when we were back in on Monday. Michael's just, again, not that it makes any difference whether a good guy or a bad guy, but we all know Michael. Fans alike who've spoken to Michael, it takes time. I was actually standing in the boardroom on Saturday before the game and watching him come across the car park. Just caught my eyes, he was coming across the car park. He must have stopped 5, 6, 7 times. Photos, autographs, chats. The amount of people I get messaging me saying they bumped into him somewhere and he stood for 5 minutes talking away. It shouldn't actually matter whether he's a good guy or not, but the point being is you couldn't find a nicer guy. And it's actually probably fortunate to an extent that he is that way and he is built that way, because he kind of just dusted it off. He was shocked, disappointed about the Friday night, but I think he said now that you have to start trying to almost train yourself not to lose any sleep over it, because none's going to change. And just to touch on something you said in terms of people can go on these platforms anonymously, the most worrying factor here is this wasn't anonymously. It was done on a person's profile, their personal profile, their name there. I mean, before we left the car park at Falkirk, between people sharing it online, we knew the guy's name, we knew he was a season ticket holder, we had photos of him, we knew he had a sign in the stand, and we knew where he worked. Like that's just from fans going, so this wasn't a guy who set up a fake account, this was somebody who, for whatever reason, decided I'm just going to do this, and perhaps not understanding the consequences of it. So that was incredibly disappointing, and did tar what was a fantastic night for Livingston. I don't want to be dealing with that for obvious reasons. That's not something I will have to speak to one of our players about. So really disappointing. And Jamie Spinney at Falkirk got in touch on Saturday morning with me personally, and then with Michael Nottingham personally as well. So spoke to the two of us, apologised on behalf of Falkirk Football Club. Again, admittedly, it's not Falkirk's fault. No, it's not Falkirk FC done this or Falkirk FC who are at fault for any of this. And it was an individual. So I think that's the key thing here, that it's not, we've got to be careful not to just make sure this becomes that's what Falkirk fans do. It's not. It's one idiot in amongst a fan base. However, probably a little bit disappointed in how long it took to get to an outcome issuing that ban. I think we had names and admission everything by Saturday afternoon. So I think that maybe could have been done a bit more swiftly. I think when we're all collectively holding cards up, showing racism the red card and saying that we'll work together to stamp it out, and that we'll all work to ensure that it's punished accordingly. I think to take almost a week to ban someone who we had in the mission. It wasn't a case of was his phone hacked, was it someone had his phone? We knew. But it's a learning curve for everybody involved. Maybe that's an opportunity for all clubs to make sure that going forward that we handle this as swiftly as we should be doing. And include us in that. As a club, if that happens here, then I want us to make sure that we worded the statement, as did Falkirk, that we'll both be looking for the strongest possible punishment. So pleased to see Falkirk issuing a ban, and given that wording, I'm hopeful and assuming that it is a lifetime ban. On that kind of fan abuse, Motherwell lost their manager kind of within the last 10 days or so in terms of Stuart Kettlewell. I think he was quite open in terms of that sort of fan abuse and driving his family away and everything else. What kind of impact can that have, that it's just seen as kind of casual comments almost? And I think Davy's touched on it a few times, that just because you pay your money doesn't mean you get to shout at me.
I think the impact it can have is now what we're seeing with Stuart himself. The fact that a man's, listen, people need to work, they need an income, everybody wants to be in a job, and the fact that he's thought his only way out of this is to resign from a job, which everybody's vying for these 42 SPFL jobs, if you like, and he's got one. And despite the board trying their best to stop him doing it, has felt that he has to, for his own good and the sake of his family, step down. Again, like we're touching abuse in general. Like how's that acceptable? Like in any walk of life, how's that acceptable? You wouldn't go into Asda and shout at the checkout operator because she's not packing your bags quick enough or scanning it quick enough. But in football, we can shout what we want at players and staff, and that's okay because you pay your money. I don't think that's for me. You pay your money, of course you're allowed an opinion. We're all allowed an opinion. That's what we're here for. That's what makes it what it is. Like we can all watch the same game and see a performance totally differently. You hear that every week when the man of the match is announced. Not everybody's in agreement. I didn't think it was him. Like that's fine. That's what we're there for. But they need to shout and scream at somebody that they're terrible and they should leave their job because you don't like them. Like I know that's the way it's always been. That's people come in and they shout abuse and likewise they get on side when you're winning games of football. But that's a sad indictment of where we're at. That manager has had to leave his job. I think not just for his own kind of well-being, but that is now affecting his family. I spoke to Stuart after he resigned, just to kind of send him my wishes. If you like, I've met him before, and I know I can tell that he was disappointed having to do that. That's not a position anybody should be put in. So hopefully, maybe it's a step. It's horrendous that that's what it's maybe going to take, but hopefully maybe it's a turning point that people now realise their words have consequences. And no, we all preach about being kind at times, but it seems to only need to be kind if you're not at the football for 90 minutes. You can shout what you want. I'm not saying people have to happy clap and keep the opinions to themselves, but there's probably ways and means of supporting your football team, and I don't think at times we're all doing it in the best possible way.
But I think overall, we have to recognise the fans themselves, the backing that they have provided over a tough period. We've kind of touched on Dingwall, we've touched on Falkirk away, we've touched on Cove here. It's all kind of money going out in what felt like the longest January ever. They've been superb, and it does make a huge difference when they are behind the team.
It's been the travelling support's been next to incredible for a club like us. When you take percentages in terms of when you look at what we have as a core fan base versus the numbers we've got travelling just now, we've got about 40 to 50% of our season ticket numbers travelling to away games. That's huge when you take that. If you look at other clubs and their season ticket numbers, if they had 50% of their season ticket numbers travelling. Now I get it, there's clubs in the league with far bigger fan bases and travelling in huge numbers, but for us, the numbers we've got going just now is incredible. Like you say, it's been an expensive few weeks. In January, that Ross County trip is expensive. You've got then a home cup game with Cove that's not in your season ticket. You're at Dunfermline, you're at Falkirk. You're going to have another game with St Johnstone coming up soon that's not in the season ticket. So it's not cheap to go to football games, and people have to make sacrifices at times that are probably they're not doing one thing so they can make games. And we've got to be very careful as a club to make sure that we are showing that appreciation, because you've seen at the end of the semi-final, you've seen at Ross County, you've seen at Falkirk. We are probably making up for last season a little bit just now. That disappointment we're feeling week after week, and now it's the opposite. Fans are going to these games thinking it doesn't matter who we're playing, we could win. We can go to Ross County and win. We could go to Falkirk and win. We'll bring St Johnstone here, and there's not going to be a Livy fan turning up going, don't fancy us today. Every single fan in that home end will be going, I really fancy us. And it's now our job, from whatever role that is within the football club, to try and bring as much success as we can for the fans. They've earned it. You better believe they've earned it over the last 18 months. And if we can be sitting here having a chat some point in May with what could potentially be happening over these next few months, I'd like to think that fans will be celebrating at that point. That's on us to do that. The players in the park will be working as hard as they can to bring that success for themselves, of course, that's what football players want, medals and trophies, but to be able to stand out there as a Livingston player with a trophy or a promotion doesn't happen very often. So huge thank you to every single one of those supporters that's travelled, whether it's been one game, all the games, whatever that's been, because it's made such a difference. I get frustrated at times sitting in the home end, if you like, at away games, having to kind of watch over, and I'd love to have been in that end for the Ross County goal or the Shinnie goal, so I'd love to have been behind the goals for the Falkirk game. I'd have loved to have been in amongst the fans at East End Park, of all places, celebrating a semi-final win, because I'm feel we're due them a few. So it was great. I always try and make it, watch it, because I feel I'm missing out a wee bit, and it's great to see faces I know, family in there, friends in there, fans that I've known for years, and seeing those smiles and those cheers and people getting right behind the guys and Davey and the rest of the coaching staff and feeling that unity. I feel like it was all players going over, Davey getting all the players over to the fans to make sure we show it. We owe the fans a lot of thanks for this season, and they're going to be crucial in this last 11 or 12 weeks because let's make no bones about it, that this could be potentially the most special 3 months of the club's recent history if we can go on and make legends of these boys out in that part, because it's an exciting time to be involved at Livingston.
No worries. Dave, thanks for joining us, really appreciate it. I know you're a busy man, so thanks for taking a bit of time and giving us a quick update.